I was lost with a broken heart. You picked me up, now I'm set apart. From the ash I am born again, forever safe in the Savior's hands. You are more than my words could say. I'll follow you, Lord, for all my days. Fix my eyes, following your ways. Forever free and unending grace. 'Cause you are my freedom. We lift you higher, we lift you higher. Your love, never ending. Oh, oh, oh. You are the love in us, nothing can take your place. You are all we need, your love has set us free. Whoa.
Good morning, boys and girls, and welcome to KidzTown on this wonderful summer Sunday that our God has made for us to enjoy.
We're so happy that you're here with us today, and we're looking forward to all the fun that we're going to have together.
We have some super faithful friends who are sending us their trivia answers and stuff every week. And today we want to say a shout out to Tanya and Chantel, Nolan and Davia,
Tennyson, Jonathan, Benjamin, Praise.
and Isabella, Camila, Miguel, and Josue.
And up next is game time, so are you ready to play?
Take a minute and see if you can find anything wrong with this picture on your screen.
We've put this in your notes, so if you want to print it off and see if you can find all 10 things that are wrong, you can do that. And of course, you can send in your 10 errors into us so that you can get points for your team.
So what's wrong with this picture? A police officer who breaks the law.
Oh boy, he's supposed to be enforce the laws, not break them.
You're right. Okay, what about this one? A heart doctor who smokes cigarettes.
Wow, they should know that those are bad for them.
Absolutely. How about a banker who steals money?
We're supposed to be able to trust our bankers with our money. They're supposed to be trustworthy.
Exactly. So what about a Christian who lives a life of sin?
Ooh, because Christians are supposed to be perfect? No, I know that's not true.
This week, we are looking at Ephesians 4. And in verse 1, Paul says, "As a prisoner for the Lord, then, I urge you to live a life worthy of the calling you have received." So we're going to look at what that means and what kind of a life a Christian is supposed to live.
So just like we expect a police officer to live lawfully, and doctors to live healthily, and bankers to live trustfully, people expect Christians should live in a certain way too.
Exactly. Can you read verses 2 and 3 for us? There's a great list in there about how we should live.
Okay. Be completely humble and gentle. Be patient, bearing with one another in love. Make every effort to keep the unity of the Spirit through the body of peace.
All right, so we see in there we're supposed to be humble, which means not thinking that we are better than somebody else.
And gentle. Now, that doesn't mean play wrestling and things like that. There's always time for that.
There's always time for wrestling. When I think of being gentle, I think of it as sort of lowering my expectations of other people. Because if I expect that you should be doing something quicker or doing something a different way, I'm going to get more frustrated inside, and that may come out in ways that aren't very nice, right? But if I lower my expectations and think, oh, they're doing the best they can, then maybe that's going to spur me on to offer to help them. And that helps me be more gentle inside, and then everybody feels better.
Patient is another word that's mentioned in there. It's always better to be patient than impatient.
And bearing with one another in love. If you just say love, maybe that sounds kind of easy, but bearing with someone sounds kind of like putting up with someone. We're supposed to love even when it's hard.
In the second part, I see the words unity and peace. These are great words, and they're a really great way to live.
Mm-hmm. So in this book, Paul is talking to the church. So these are instructions about how the church, the believers, are supposed to treat each other. Now, most of these are ways we should treat everybody, right? Should there be a difference in how we treat people in the church and how we treat people outside of the church?
Oh, that's a good question. What do you think, kids?
Let's look at verse 3 again. Make every effort to keep the unity of the Spirit through the bond of peace. So think of the church as a family. God designed a family to stay together and be together forever, right?
And if we're fighting as the church and not settling things, it's not a very good example for people who don't believe.
Right, and I think that's the key. God wants us in the church to be peacefully unified in his Spirit, as well as treating each other in all these other good ways. Because then we're showing people what God is like.
So what people think of the church could be what people are going to think of God.
Yeah, exactly. That's very powerful. What people think of the church is what they're going to think of God.
People expect that certain people are going to be a certain way. Remember our examples from before. When people think of Christians, we want them to assume that we are humble and gentle and loving. Let's work hard on making that true.
Mm-hmm. So this week, friends, let's practice not being Christians who live a life of sin, but practice being ones who love each other, no matter what, being patient and gentle with everyone.
Now let's have a time of worship.
I love you, Lord. Oh, your mercy never fails me. All my days I've been held in your hand. From the moment that I wake up until I lay my head, I will sing of the goodness of God. All my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. I love your voice. You have led me through the fire in darkest night. You are close like no other. I've known you as a father. I've known you as a friend. I have lived in the goodness of God. All my life you have been faithful. die. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. My life laid down and surrender now. I give you everything. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. With my life laid down, I surrender now. I give you everything. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. All my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so, so good. Every breath that I am able, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. All my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. Oh, I will sing of the goodness of God.
All right, friends, we have something really fun today that will demonstrate unity.
So we are going to make some paper people.
Have you ever made these before?
I have not made them.
They're pretty simple to make, but you can get really fancy and decorate them however you want as well and make them be really creative. So I can't wait to see what you come up with at home.
So the secret to making them all even and looking good is to zigzag your paper like this.
If you start at one end of the zigzag and it's smaller to fit more people on, at the end, you can, if you have paper left over, you can just cut it off with your scissors.
And after you've done a few, you can probably freehand it. But to start, I think you'll need to draw an outline or a cutout so that you know where to cut.
So it's super important to leave the hands and the feet alone. Don't cut them because that's what keeps your people together. So you're going to want to cut all the way around and leave that alone.
And here you go. Your people chain is attached together, just like we talked about in our lesson today.
So you can decorate these however you want. You can use construction paper and cut out little clothes and glue them on, or you can use markers and decorate them like we did. But put them up in your room or somewhere in your house as a good reminder for you to remember to live humbly and gently and peacefully with each other.
It's time for the trivia report.
Well, friends, it's another week and another change in our scores. Let's have a look at what last week's numbers did and see where we're starting off.
All right, so the girls are currently in the lead with 1,335, and the boys have 1,126.
And this week, I'm really curious to see who came out on top.
Well, the last couple weeks, it's been going back and forth. But this week again, the boys have come out with the higher score. They clocked in with a total of 49 points, and the girls got 38.
That gap in those scores are getting closer all the time. That means the girls are still in the lead with 1,373. And the boys are scrambling up close behind with 1,155 points. Keep those points coming in.
Good job, boys and girls. Hey, Yolanda,
Yeah?
what did the duck say to the comedian?
What?
You quack me up.
It's trivia time.
All right, so we have this week's question. So, number 1, what happened to the 7 fat cows in Pharaoh's dream?
Number 2, the Bible names 3 angels: Lucifer, Michael, and who else?
Number 3, who fell asleep in the Garden of Gethsemane?
Number 4, who said, "Love one another as I have loved you"?
And the last one, number 5, who forced the construction of the Tower of Babel to stop?
Have fun sending in your answers.
Boys and girls, we are so glad that you have chosen to be part of God's family, part of the church.
If you haven't done that yet, I bet your mom and dad would love to help you.
Today, we want to bless you all and pray that you would have a deep desire to live the way a Christian should your whole life long.
May you love well, be patient and gentle and full of peace.
See you next week.